So I know you talked to Jalen Suggs today, and you mentioned, we were talking before we came on about Jonathan Isaac. Obviously, there's a lot of conversation going on around him about vaccinations, and I was talking to Sean Devaney earlier in the show, and how the NBA would prefer, obviously, if the conversation wasn't shifted towards COVID and vaccinations. But unfortunately, it's 2021, and that's some of the things that we have to talk about. What was the sense you got? And I know you didn't get a lot of contact with Jonathan Isaac today, but what was the sense you got from him, his level of comfort, just the vibe overall?
I mean, Jonathan Isaac, you say what you will about him. He is very confident and firm in his beliefs, and he took to the podium. He spoke in more of a scrum setting than with individuals. Like, you kind of, it's like a merry-go-round of players that come around in the practice court. I think because they knew how that conversation was going to go with everybody, rather than everybody asking Jonathan Isaac the same questions. He just addressed the media as a whole, and he backed up his point. He said that he was misquoted in the Rolling Stone article. They were approached by a writer, the team was, so that they could talk to Jonathan Isaac, because the writer there, whose name escapes me right now, wanted to talk to a number of NBA players that were choosing not to get vaccinated, guys like Isaac, guys like Kyrie Irving, to get a better understanding, and kind of approached it in a way of objectivity, that he was going to cover this story just to better understand it, and instead took it and decided to make it sort of a lean. And Jonathan Isaac claims that he was misrepresented, misquoted, and saying that he chose not to get the vaccine because of Donald Trump press conferences that he watched and studying Black history. And he said that he never said those things, and that his reasons were simply because he felt like he didn't need them. He didn't need the vaccine. He cited religious reasons. Whether or not you want to draw a correlation there, I'll leave that up to you. I'm at this point now personally where I've been covering this COVID story. I mean, I remember stepping into the studio on March 12th, 2020, when it was actually the Chicago Bulls and Orlando Magic that were supposed to play that day at the Amway Center. We huddled up for a press conference, which, hindsight, that was stupid at the time to do that at that time of what was going on. But we didn't know anything on March 12th of 2020, other than games were being shut down. Since then, we've been covering it just like crazy. Every single day, there's something new and a different angle, and we're all trying to play epidemiologist in sports talk radio. Brian, this is not why I got into the business, and I'm trying to run as far away as I can from this type of conversation, not because I'm afraid to talk about it. I'm not. I'm just over it. And when it comes to the vaccine, if you want to get it, get it. If you don't. If the NBA is not going to mandate it for players, then it's not mandated. And that means that players have options. Jonathan Isaac is using his, and I don't know why so many people feel like they are owed this explanation that has to make sense. If he doesn't have to get it, then his explanation doesn't have to make sense. And that's not a personal opinion on whether or not he probably should get it. But if he doesn't want to, then that's up to him. The vitriol that I've seen is really disappointing. Jonathan Isaac, you can disagree with this. Dude, he's a great guy. He does so much in the community. He's faith-based. He's a good human being. He's the kind of person that you'd want to be around. And so it's just one of those things. We divide all the time. And to see the division around such a good human being, it's just kind of disappointing and depressing.
And it's also, just to second that, we're talking about a kid. And I know he's technically an adult, but all of us who have been an adult for longer than 6 months still consider him a kid, and he's not, and I'm not, like you said, I'm not saying you should or you should not be vaccinated. I think he should be vaccinated. But at the same time, I also recognize that where we are right now in society, if you don't agree with whatever is the thing that everyone's saying that you should agree with, nobody wants to hear why you didn't or why you don't. They just want to throw you under a bus and group you in with everybody else who does or does not agree with whatever the thing is. And that's unfortunate that it's not more conversation around a lot of the stuff, but that's where we are. That's how things are. I hope that there's a resolution to that whole thing with Jonathan Isaac and every other player that falls into that category, because it would be a lot more fun to just talk about basketball.
And I hope that's what we can do. And that is one of the reasons, selfishly, that I want him and everybody to get vaccinated. Once you're at 100%, then based on league protocols, we don't need to talk about this stuff. Yeah. And but that's me. That's my selfish reasons.
Yeah.
I do think, one of the things that I find sort of puzzling is that the NBA has mandated that its employees get vaccinated, but the players don't have to. It creates this sort of double standard that I think it creates more of that division. When you're saying that the person in ticket sales has to have it, but the backup power forward doesn't. Yeah. What kind of message does that send to your employees? That's not to say that person is more valuable than the power forward on the team. They're not. And the players are a huge part. They're the biggest part of the league, and you've got to keep them happy. But it's this dangerous road that they've gone down with anything that resembles the word mandate, and it's the thing that people end up yelling about the most. And that's why I go back to, if you're not going to mandate, then don't get upset when somebody tells you they're not going to get it, because that's what's going to happen. You leave the door open for it.